Another week passes for Mansfield Town and it's another 2 points on board. Somehow the players have got us through it. Is this fragile stability? Yes, somehow the Stags players have got themselves through a busy period with a 2-2 draw against Barnsley coming from 2 goals behind and a proud 1-1 draw at Bradford in midweek. Fragile stability is probably an apt saying because the Stags are fragile, yet they're getting ever closer to that League One stability that we so desperately crave again. Coming up on tonight's Mansfield Matters podcast, we'll look back over those 2 games and look ahead to the rest of the season as we ask, can these tired legs make it to the finish line? Will there be another twist in the tail? And has Nigel Clough got another 300 games in his arsenal? All of that and much, much more, including the Fab Fan Advisory Board, here on the show for the fans, by the fans. This is the Mansfield Matters podcast. Hello and merry Thursday to you all. Welcome once again to yet another edition of the Mansfield Matters podcast, the show for the fans, by the fans. Why? Well, because Mansfield always matters. Good to have you with us on this Thursday evening. As ever, if you want to have your say on your team, please feel free to do so in the live feed comments. If you listen to the audio version of this, then come and join us when we're next live and have your say on your team. I've assembled my own team tonight, a team of Mansfield Town supporters who are going to join me to talk all things Stags. First and foremost, let's head over to Edwin Stowe and say hello, good evening and welcome to Mr. Clive Parkin. Evening, Clive.
Evening, Craig. Hello, everybody.
Let's now head over to Kirkby in Ashfield, where we say hello, good evening, and welcome to Mr. James Evans. Good evening, Jim.
Evening, Craig. Evening, all.
And via a no doubt satellite delay, let's head over to Sutton in Ashfield, where we can say hello to the country's most famous bin man. It's Alan Wilson. Evening, Al.
Good evening, Craig. Good evening, everybody.
Good to see you all, as always. As ever, if you want to have your say on your team, then feel free to do so in the live feed comments. Right, let's start off then, Jim, shall we, by looking back on what's been a productive week for Mansfield Town. 2 more games ticked off in Sky Bet League One and 2 more points on the board.
Yeah, I think we're getting there point by point, aren't we? I think even though it's not as it's not comfortable like last season, it still feels like we're in a better place than last season. And I think we're getting there now. I mean, defending well. These games that we're drawing, we'd have lost this time last year. So even though it's only 5 points above the drop zone, I'm pretty confident we're going to stay up.
Clive, the important thing at this stage of the season is to, grind out those results. Like Jim's just said there, the prime example, I think if we'd have had that game against Bradford this time last season, we probably would have lost it, but we've got a little bit more grit and resilience about us this season.
I think so. I think the talent pool is a little bit better. It's proved actually this last game because we got so many changes brought about by the need to change and relieve players, and we still performed very well. As a defensive unit, I think we've done an awful lot of progress. The question mark is about getting goals, I suppose. But I thought it was a point gained, and a very unexpected point gained, if I'm being honest. Despite I'd forecast a win, in the back of my mind, you think Bradford are a better team than we are by virtue of where they are in the table. And actually, throughout the game, they didn't look that superior. But what we didn't do, which is what we did at Bolton earlier in the season, we didn't hang on to the opportunist goal that we got. And I think it's always disappointing when you've been in the lead for quite a while and then you don't take the 3 points. But I'd have settled for a point before the game. And I think, as Jim says, we're picking points up. And I think we're picking points up, and those people who are most in jeopardy beneath us are not.
Yeah, that is the key thing, the fact that those beneath us aren't picking up points. I'll come on to a more major point around the Northampton game a little bit later on, Alan, but reflecting on the two games that we've just had, like Clive said there, it was very much a point gained against Bradford, and the fight back against Barnsley was brilliant to see as well. We've got that character about us now. That's an awfully long delay. I think
that was for me, Craig, because I can't hear it. Yeah, we have got some character. I can hear you, but we have got some character back, and it was, they played really well to fight back.
Yeah, we certainly did. We'll keep an eye on that. I might give you a ring later on in the show. It's tech gremlins again. Do you know what? It's getting to summertime though now, so we're getting closer to being able to do it all on the garden and everything, which is a lot better. Because I've not got the room inside Mansfield Matters HQ. If anyone wants to invest the FA Cup money, let's build Mansfield Matters a studio. That might be more apt. We'll have a studio in the centre of town, something like that. Jim, let's pick back up on that point, though. The fight back against Barnsley. Again, it was a little bit similar to when we played at their place. We were sort of found ourselves 2-0 down again, didn't we? Thinking, how are we going to get back in this game? And got a little bit fortunate with the penalty, tucked it away, and that gave us a little bit of belief.
Yeah, I mean, Barnsley got some good players, to be fair. Bradshaw and McGoldrick, I don't think you'll find a better strike partnership in the league, to be honest with you. And then at 2-0 down, he feared the worst, but I think as soon as that penalty went in, he thought, we're going to get something here. And when Macca scored to make it 2-2, for me, that was one of the moments of the season. The roof came off the stadium, and it was brilliant. And it just shows where we are, doesn't it? It's there's a lot of fight and resilience, and Bradford again. We're never beaten. We can go 2-0 down, second half. We're never beaten. And you can see us getting like 6 more draws to get over the line or something. It's brilliant.
I mean, looking at the league table at the minute, Clive, as well, we're 5 points clear, but most importantly, God, put my teeth in, what is going wrong tonight? Most importantly, we've got 2 games in hand over Blackpool and Northampton, 1 game in hand over Rotherham, and Northampton still to play as well.
And we've got a superior goal difference, which is at this point of the season is worth a point. So effectively, we're 3 games. There's got to be a 3-game swing, 3-win swing somewhere in there. I just don't see it. I think if we get another win and then pick up the odd point or 2, we're all going to be all right. But it'd be nice to get it tucked away before the end of the month, wouldn't it? But we'll see. So what was your question?
I think that was about the league table. I think you answered it soon.
Yeah, I mean, my only point in all this is why can't we play teams that start with a B every week?
I mean, it'd be nice, wouldn't it?
I think when we play Northampton Town, we'll be all right.
Northampton Town, maybe we'll get them rearranged. Jim, I know that sometimes superstition plays a little bit of a part, and there's the little bit about new manager bounces and things like that. Obviously, Rotherham have dispensed of Matt Hamshaw in the week. Northampton are still looking for their new manager as well. Are they too far gone, or do you think the new manager bounce can have a bit of an impact?
Well, on Northampton?
On both. On both. Yeah.
I don't know. I think they can only do so much. I mean, it's the same group of players, and they're down there for a reason, aren't they? So unless Harry Potter comes in to the dugout, they're still going to have the same problems, really. No, I think I don't think it'll be that effective, to be honest with you. I think Hampshire had to go. They had to drive something. It was their last roll of the dice, but in reality, League One players at the bottom of the league, I don't think you're going to get a massive different tune out of them. I mean, they're professional players. I'm sure. Yeah, they're all trying the best every game. Of course they are, but if you haven't got the quality, you ain't got the quality. As we found this season up front sometimes, if you haven't got the cutting edge or the final third quality, the goals don't go in, do they? So, yeah, no, I don't think it will be too much of a difference.
Well, let's certainly hope so. Let's see if we can speak to Mr. Alan Wilson via the medium of telephone. Good evening, Mr. Wilson.
Good evening, Mr. Priest. How are you?
There we go. We've got him now. We've not got your face, but we've got your voice. And do you know what? That's enough on this podcast, isn't it? That's enough.
I'm in the midst of trying to come back on. and I'll see how it goes.
Well, we'll leave it for your voice for now, and then we'll give it another try a little bit later on in the show, and we'll just get your opinions whilst you're on. We've got you now. Wait, we were talking there whilst you were trying to be all technological mastery. We were talking about the league table. 5 points clear, 2 games in hand on Blackpool and Northampton, a game in hand on Rotherham. Northampton still to play as well. Is that enough for us?
I think so. I've never been worried because I think we've got a better squad than last year. We're playing as good as we were, if not better than last year. And the tight-knit, in the group, with the players that have come in with the good signings we've had, I just think it's a better, season all round, as it were. So I've had no complaints. I've got no complaints about us getting anywhere apart from League One for next season.
Yeah, that's definitely got to be the objective, just to get over that line. The lack of goals is a little bit worrying, Jim, but one man who hadn't been contributing in terms of finding the back of the net finally did find the back of the net on Tuesday night as Big Vic got a very fortunate deflection.
Well, when it bounced off and went in?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but you could say he was in the right place at the right time, wasn't he? Clough seemed quite happy with him in his interview after the game. Personally, I don't see it, personally. Would I be giving him a contract? I'm not sure. I'd love him to prove me wrong in the next 10 games and he scores 5 goals. Great. Brilliant. I'd love him to do that. But, at the moment, I'm not thinking that far ahead. It's just that group do enough to get us to the summer. But, yeah. It's not just him, though. It's the whole strike force. It's Oates, Evans, the lot of them. Are they enough to take us forward? I think that's the biggest question mark over the squad, isn't it? That department.
Yeah, it certainly is. Clive, I've called this show tonight Fragile Stability. The reason is obviously we're getting towards getting that stability in place, but we are still fragile. We look at the changes that we had to make on Tuesday night, and like sort of Jim alluded to there, we've not quite got going when it comes to having a settled strike force and things like that. But it's all injuries, isn't it? And if we can limp over the line, you never know. We could put together a decent-ish squad in the summer. It feels a little bit like 90% of the squad at the minute are going through their own pre-season again.
Yeah, there's going to have to be a fair amount of churn in the close season because we have some players that are completely injury-prone and you can't build around them. And unfortunately, we've also got a fair number of the active players who cannot do a full game and certainly can't do 2 full games in a week. Now, that's not a criticism, it's purely an observation. So the reality of that is you've got to have a very good, broad squad. And I think if we hadn't got the broad squad we've got, we'd have been in a right pickle this year. And you're losing core players for most of the season for whatever reason. It's just one of those. It's more than bad luck, we know that. But every club laments its injury crisis. But it's certainly buggered up this season. Good start. Had we kept everybody fit and everybody available, we'd have been challenging for promotion this year.
Yeah, we certainly would, which would be an interesting one to see. I'm going to see if we can add Alan back to the stage now. We'll mute him. Is he there? Hello. Let me speak to it. Let me end the phone call. Hello, Mr. Wilson. Are you there? Hello, Alan.
Hello. Can you hear me?
We can.
Yeah.
Just about.
Is he on dial-up?
No, I've muted him. I forgot to mute. What's going off? I can't unmute you. What is happening here? I don't know what's happening here. Oh, wow. I've killed him off.
Poor old Alan.
I know.
Do you know, he's let Jeanette go out on podcast night. He's his own worst enemy.
I know.
Oh, dear. Yeah.
Oh, it is funny. Right, I'm going to try and ask Alan a question.
Us retirees and technology don't work.
It's true. Alan, we are, of course, we were talking there about the squad and how we need to have players. He's gone again. He's disappeared. He's gone. And then Clive's gone. Everyone's gone. Is he back? Alan, are you there?
He's got my old internet, hasn't he?
He has. I'm right. Yeah, I'm just gonna ring Alan because it's just easier. I can't. Yeah. You know what? We always get one of these shows, don't we, where it's an absolute nightmare. And tonight is very much one of those shows. So there you go. What was I talking about? I can't remember.
The squad.
I was talking about the squad. Hello, Mr. Wilson. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here again, Craig. What I'll do, I'll come out all together now and just talk to you on the phone if it's easy, because I don't want to mess your programme up.
Oh, it's our programme, Al. It's always ours. Don't worry about it. But yes, let's stick with the phone for tonight and go from there.
Okay.
We were talking there about, or trying to talk there anyway. Clive's now holding up a piece of paper to the screen, by the way, saying, "Where's Alan?" Is if that could... It might not be. I think that the feature of Alan Where's You Been has taken on a whole new concept tonight. Because anyway, maybe he's chucked his Wi-Fi in a bit.
It's a belter as well tonight.
I'm sure it is. We might not have to play it though, because we might not be able to play it if you're not on. But we'll come to that in a little bit. Anyway, let's talk football and get this back on the podcast theme, shall we? Injuries and all of that sort of stuff. We know that we're a little bit knackered. We know that, as Clive was sort of saying, we struggle to get players through Saturday, Tuesday. Well, we're going to have to do that, Alan, because early today, the away trip to Peterborough has been postponed due to international call-ups within their ranks. I know we had 3 or 4 potentials and Nigel Clough was and ahhing, but the game is now off. It's going to be played on Tuesday, the 28th of April. We've still got Stockport to be arranged as well, which... according to my calculations, will be the 21st of April. So it's going to be 2 games a week from April, which we've been pretty much doing anyway. It's a bit of a gamble, isn't it? Especially if we hit a bit of rough form.
It is, but let's, like we've said before, get the points on the board now. You know, let's get over 50 points or, however many we can possibly muster sooner rather than later. And then whatever happens will happen at the end of the season, and it shouldn't be too much of a problem.
Keep your comments coming in. Have your say on your team in the live feed comments, just like Maria's done tonight, Jim, who says that little Nobby Welsh is playing well. And I can't disagree either, because little Nobby Welsh in the last couple of games has sort of shown that there is a footballer growing inside him somewhere. And I thought he was absolutely instrumental in the goal that we scored at Bradford in midweek.
He was good against Barnsley as well, I thought, when he came on as well. I think he's playing the best football he's played since he's come here. Dynamic, fast, and confident. I think that's the main thing. He believes in himself, which seems to be the difference. Whereas before he was a bit hesitant, but I think now he's going for it. And yeah, he looks a different player, and good, because it's our gain, isn't it? And yeah, fair play to him, because he's had his critics on this show as well, and he looks the part. Picking up on the Peterborough game, I think it's the right thing. Thinking about it, I think the next 3 games are Northampton, Doncaster, and Burton, aren't they? Which 3 teams who are in and around us, and I think the club's really targeting those 3 games to get safe. I think, and if you think about it, we could throw everything at Saturday because we've got a 13-day rest, and we've got 13 days to really target those 2 games. And I think that the hope is get safe by the end of those 3, and then Peterborough, because Peterborough could beat us quite easily. We don't want to upset that sort of momentum or get injuries. So hopefully by the time we play them and Cardiff at the end of the season, it's academic. I think that's the thinking.
Yeah, I think so. Let's stay with that for a second, Clive, and we'll come back to little Nobby Welsh in a minute. That's a good point that Jim's raised there, because if we throw everything at the next 2-3 games up until the end of the Easter weekend or whatever, even just throw everything at Saturday, get 3 points on the board, get through the Easter weekend, realistically, we should be safe by then. And actually, I think if we get 3 points against Northampton on Saturday with those 2 games in hand on them as well, that's a huge step in the right direction, surely.
I think it works both ways. I think because we've only got the 1 game now between today and Good Friday when we play Doncaster, there's more importance to get 3 points against a team we should get 3 points from anyway, Northampton. Because if we then have another 13 days before the next game, which is Doncaster, we're going to sweat a bit because other teams have been playing around us. I was just looked at the calendar. I was surprised we haven't got any Tuesday games between now and then. We're going to have a calamity of games throughout April, and yet actually we've got a little bit of wiggle room in March. The other side of the coin, of course, is those players that are struggling for fitness or needed a rest are now going to get that opportunity. So we should hit, if we can get through Saturday, okay, we've then got time to recover. We should be as strong a squad as we can muster, ignoring the long-term absentees, going into the Doncaster game on Good Friday. And then if we pick points against Doncaster, I think the job is done.
That prolonged break, Alan Wilson, will certainly be one which Nigel Clough is looking forward to. I highly doubt that the players will do much training in that period. Rest, recuperation, and that gives us as much chance as the best possible chance we've got of getting through what will be a hectic April schedule.
Definitely, and you people like Reece Oates need to come to the party on Saturday, because I assume he'll start. Like we said, with the rest that they're having after Saturday, he's going to play. He ought to play the best possible starting 11 and just go at them from the off, go for the jugular, because then they can rest and recuperate for 13 days? Did Clive say? So, it's there to be won Saturday. It's another 3 points in the bank.
Very, very true. Keep your comments coming in. On Little Nobby Welsh, Simon in the comments, Clive says he played very well at right back, another backup option. Matt also adds that he changed the game on Saturday. It's that thing, isn't it, Clive? Sometimes, we criticise players and we don't always take into consideration the fact of, having to uproot their lives and having to get settled at a new club. We always want them to come in and hit the ground running. And if little Nobby Welsh can maintain the form that he's had, probably post-Christmas, to be fair, when he's had his opportunities, I think we've got a good player on our hands next season with him now looking a little bit more settled.
Yeah, I think we've all criticised what we saw of him earlier this season because he didn't seem to bring a great deal to the game. But what we have to keep reminding ourselves, he's still a very young player, still learning his craft, I guess. But certainly in the last couple of games, he's merited the applause that he's had. And I think he deserves, therefore, a starting place against the Cobblers on Saturday.
Yeah, certainly so. Lots of questions coming in tonight about Tyler Roberts as well, Jim. Simon asked, do you think we'll see Tyler Roberts again? Personally, I don't. So let's deal with that one first. Do you think we'll get anything out of him this season, or do you think his race is run?
No, I think we'll see him again. I don't know if we'll see him Saturday. But my concern is what's going to happen in the summer, because I can imagine we'll be able to get him in the summer, but I don't want to chuck a load of money at him and then he's on the treatment table all year again. I just don't see the point of that. That's my concern. But I think we'll see him again before the end of the season, yeah, because he is our best player on paper. There's no point if he's sat in the stands.
I think it's a calf injury, so I don't think it's that it's going to be that long, Alan. But I guess with him, it's just managing him. And to be fair, even if we get 45 minutes out of him in one game and have to sub him off at half time and carefully manage him over that April period, I'd rather have him available for, say, 4 of the 8 games than none of them, or even just 2, because when he comes in, he makes a huge difference.
He does, especially when he's with the side of Oatsley. So I think Nigel will probably be very coy and, sort of pick the games when he can play, providing is, even like you say, 40 minutes of Tyler Roberts is better than none at all.
The other question, Clive, is about his future in the summer. I know that I know you're probably on the side of we won't see him again this season. But Thomas in the comments has asked, would you sign Roberts on a permanent? Obviously, the ability is there, but the best ability is being available. Would be big in wages as well. Would you take a chance on him in the summer, or would it be based upon whether or not he can get himself fit for maybe the last 3 games of the season?
I don't know how much money he's on, but suggestively is the highest paid player. I wouldn't sign him. I think he's too big a risk medically. And I think the club know that. That's why they've only offered him in terms to the end of this season. And during that time, they're going to assess his viability going forward. If what we've seen so far is that he doesn't stand a knock very well, he's not going to be worth having, to be quite honest. However good a player he is. You can have your best player in the world, and if he doesn't get on the pitch, he's no good to you. So my view is, if we're going to sign him on some form of flexible pay-as-you-play contract.
It's a huge risk, Jim, isn't it? Because last season, this season, we held out for Lee Gregory for quite a while at the start of the season, and we were bitten on the backside. And I think we probably knew deep down that we weren't going to get him fit and available. But he's such a talented player to have, and we can see how much he lifts us. And if he's got the right attitude, like Reece Oates had, we gave a lot of time to Reece Oates, and he's come back and repaid us, and I think we'll continue to repay us, Jim. So, do you take the same risk with Tyler Roberts?
Only if he can play the games. No, I'd say no, because this has been a problem for us for the last few years, isn't it? And we can't afford to keep going as we are. With the injuries has been a right crippling problem for us for too long, and we've got to come away from that culture. So now we can get. There's other players, out there. It's not just Tyler Roberts, is it? And there's a reason why we've got him, and other clubs have not gone for him. So no, I would say no. We've got to be ruthless.
But on the flip side of that, though, Jim, we're a club who don't throw money at things in terms of big transfer fees. Therefore, we have to pick up the players who maybe have a little bit of an injury record or whatever. And it's about how we manage them. Clough, I think, manages them quite well in terms of, giving them the right rest time, the right recuperation time. And I don't think, as for the best will in the world, that we will see any of the FA Cup money that we've accumulated this year, or even any of the general cup money from both the competitions thrown into transfers. So I think we're going to be in the same position again. And if it was a toss-up between signing Tyler Roberts, but maybe only having him available for 70% of the season, or letting him be free for another League One club who could then come back and cause us damage, I think I have to give him the pen and say, here's the paper.
I mean, it's a matter of opinion, isn't it? You said it yourself, Greg. Best ability is availability, and we need to get away from injuries. And we don't seem to get these players fit very quickly. So, I like him, but we need him on the pitch. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, I can see why people are frustrated with the return on him that we've not quite had, because it was very obvious, Alan, wasn't it? When you look back over this season, when we do the reflections, we're in good form up until that Northampton away game, and it very much coincides with Tyler Roberts playing football for us every week. He then gets injured, we lose the game, we go on a bit of a bad run, we arguably struggle to find form again. He comes back in, he starts to look okay, then we lose him again, and it's there's no such thing as a coincidence, I think, in football.
No, it's same as I think it was Jim that said earlier on. He's probably with us for a reason. It was with Leeds, it was with Birmingham, had injuries. So, that's the reason why he was left on the shelf, type of thing. We managed to pick him up like we did. We got him till the end of the season. If he plays a few more games to us, it's certified what we bought him for this season. And then, the option will be, you either get yourself fit, or like Clive said, probably pay as you play. But I can't see him going for that one, personally. He'll want to go somewhere to a club, and hopefully produce the goods. But, like we said before, it is very injury prone, but so was Reece. But I think Reece has grown up, if that makes sense. He doesn't go hell for leather into the challenges anymore. He thinks about it. And I think that's helped him with his injuries. That's only my opinion.
We've had a comment come in from Richard, who asks, why does Craig think we won't use the cup run money to buy decent players? Simply because the way the Radfords run the club is to be self-sufficient. And I think it's about the infrastructure of what we do. We will see, I believe we will see some of the accumulated money being pumped into the wage budget, which will allow us to be strong, have a stronger hold in our negotiation field. But I think what a lot of people think when it comes to money that we accumulate from cup runs or whatever is that, oh, great, we've got this massive pot of money which we're now going to spend on transfer fees. It was exactly the same when we sold Davies Keeler-Dunn, or when we sold Will Swan or whatever, or when Davies Keeler-Dunn went from Barnsley to Wrexham and we get this extra bit of income. It's, all of a sudden we've got this extra transfer revenue available. It's spread more widely across the club, and it's spread more widely in terms of the infrastructure of what we do. And I think it's a question of, it's not a lack of ambition. Let me highlight that. It's definitely not a lack of ambition, because I would love to absolutely see us. I would absolutely love to see us do that, and to go out and sign a big name player and to try and enhance us. But realistically, before we have to do that, I think there's other areas of in and around the club that we need to invest in and need to look at. And if you look at where we are now, we've got a stadium with a capacity which we've seen that we can fill on occasion, albeit, it needs some bigger teams to come down and players or whatever. But if we still hold a strong foothold of it and a strong average of attendance, and if we were to look to push towards the Championship, for example, because I think that's probably where if people would associate our journey going, if we were to put the money into the transfer fund, if we were to put money into the squad next year and buy a load of players, for example, better players, for want of a better phrase, and then got promotion that season, when we got into the Championship, we wouldn't be able to capitalise on the journey that we'd been on. We wouldn't be able to make the most out of it financially. And actually, it would shoot us in the foot a little bit in terms of the longevity of where we want to go. So I think, I'm not saying it'll get spent on filling in the corner of the Bishop Street stand or whatever, but it'll get used in being reinvested into the club to make the fan experience better, to potentially look at increasing attendances, because once we've done that, we're able to be in a better position going forward over the longer term plan. And it's just based, like I said, it's just based on us being self-sufficient and being very shrewd in our business. We still get good quality players with the way that we operate in. We've got a good quality squad, albeit we have times where we're a little bit injury prone or whatever. But with the additional money, might be able to invest in better medical care, which means we can get players back faster. We might be able to invest in better facilities in and around the training ground to try and prevent some of these injuries. We can invest it back into the pitch, which needs a little bit of care, and look at those finite details, which then over the longer term turn us into a club who can compete and not have the problems that we've got at the minute. Because I tell you this, I hand on heart believe that the squad we've got this season, if you take away all the injuries and all the games in which players have been unavailable, I think we'd be competing for the playoffs. I think we've got a good enough squad on paper, if everyone's fit, to compete higher up. And those little niggly bits which we can do by looking after things behind the scenes and not spending on massive transfer fees, I think that will help us long term. So the reason I think we won't use the cup run to buy decent players is not based on lack of ambition. It's not based on the fact that we're stubborn with cash. It's based on protecting the long term future of where we want to be. Clive?
Yeah, I think putting a measure on money is difficult, because we can compare, the ridiculous fees and wages in the Premier League. It doesn't mean anything at our level. We, as a football club, have probably benefited to a couple of £1 million this year as a result of transfers and cup runs. But that buys you very little in the transfer market when you think about it. If you want real quality players, you don't get that many to £1 million. And I'm not even sure we need to do that. I think Craig touched on it, is finding players, and we do that all the time, and then attracting those players because of the type of club we are, how we treat players, and paying them a decent wage with a decent contract. I think that's how we succeed. And if you want a better example of that, Lincoln City. Yes. They are storming this league. They've spent bugger all on players. They're like us. They've got a very, very small budget. But what they've managed to do is develop a team ethic, and good management. And we could do exactly the same. And I'm pretty sure, had it not been for injuries, we could have been a Lincoln City this year.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think that is where my head goes with it. And I think probably in 2 or 3 years' time, with this little bit of added injection, I think we will be there. Jim, your views?
Yeah, I still think I had a good comment last week. Clubs who go down, they circle the drain for a couple of years first, and I just think we scraped it a bit last year. We're scraping it a bit this year. I think if you try and be clever too much, your luck runs out in the end. And I think eventually, Lincoln, I think, are a bit of an anomaly, if I'm honest. I think the type of football the manager plays is not pragmatic like Lincoln, and will never will be. And if he wants to keep playing that way, he's going to have to be back with more money, unless you change the manager, which we don't really want to see. So, yeah, I think there's a bit of a balance to the conversation. I take your points. I think you're right, but I think really, I think we need to invest some money in the squad this summer. Otherwise, eventually the luck will run out. That's my view.
Mark adds on that at the end of the season how older players are going to go and what money for new players. I think we had a longevity at the end of last season, Alan, didn't we? Where we looked at, Stephen Quinn hung up his boots, Uncle Stephen. Lucas Akins is not getting any younger. But there's ebbs and flows and checks and balances with that because, arguably Lucas Akins has been a real key for us in the last couple of months or so because he stays fit and available, and it's about balancing that, isn't it? I think we've got the best management team and the best backroom team that I think we could ask for at the moment in terms of looking after things and not being stupid with it. Because any other owners in the land, and this is credit to the Radfords, Alan, any other owners in the land would look at the money that we've accrued from the cup runs this year and go, do you know what? Clough's near the end of his contract. There's some good young managers out there. I'm going to go and get someone new and I'm going to splurge a load of money at it and we're going to go and try and get for the championship next year. And it'll come back and bite us on the backside. Case in point, appointing Steve Evans, because that's similar to what we did.
Yeah, I would agree. And it's like you said, it's club longevity and club stability. If we can do a Lincoln, like Clough said, I agree with all that. But it takes time. Like them, they've been in the League One. How long they've been in there? Around about 4 or 5 years now, maybe something like that. And you take with the injuries, sometimes it can't be helped. Taking point in case Jordan Barry, similar to Lucas Akins, never ever injured. He had one really bad injury this season. He's come back in one game, and he's unfortunately got concussed again. So he's probably going to be out for another 2-3 weeks. And that's, something that you can't legislate for when you've got players like Jordan Barry. But these things happen. And on the flip side of that, every Jordan Barry, you get a Reece Oates that's coming back, And like Lucas, 37-year-old, and hardly ever misses a game. So it's you look after them that you can, I think, in the end. And at the end of the season, they'll have a decision to make on who stays and who goes. And, we won't all agree with what Nigel says and all the rest of the stuff. But at the end of the day, he's the one that matters.
There is every season the same conversation about who goes, who stays, and who do we go out and replace the departures with. That will always happen. And that will be no different this year. There are players who aren't going to have new contracts offered. There are players who their very age is making them less useful to us going forward. And then there are the one or two that cross over between the two. And the money you save by no longer employing a player is spent on employing a different player. Each year there's a balanced budget. Now, the Clough will negotiate, I'm sure, with the Radfords for his player budget. And I'm pretty sure that based on where we are now, next season's player budget will be higher to enable us to pay the sorts of wages that Clough suggests we need to have a forward-facing season rather than one looking over our shoulders. Everybody wants that. Unless he renews his contract, this is Clough's swan song season coming up next year. So I think he'll want to leave on a successful note. And so he'll be banking on being able to improve the overall talent pool. There's got to be some really difficult decisions about existing players. And we won't, as you said, we won't always agree with them. But I mean, I can't off the top of my head remember what our player budget is. but it's certainly if third or fourth worst in the league. I can't see us getting away with that. And I'm picking up on Jim's point now, circling the drain. I can't see us being able to cope with that level of player investment next year. So I think we'll climb the league table of payments, but it won't be in transfer fees. It'll be in player wages, in my opinion.
I think that's the way to go as well. You know, we've managed it so far, and we've done relatively well with it. And even if we've had to be patient with a few players, what we do really well, Jim, is actually look after those players as well. You know, 10 or so years ago, we were bringing players in, chewing them up, spitting them out, 1 year contracts, 2 years maximum. We're looking after the squad we've got now. Fraser Blake Tracy, he signed a new deal. I think there's rumours of Liam Roberts signing an extended one or whatever. 2 or 3 other players this season have signed new deals as well to tie them down. Lewis Reed, Reece Oates, to think of a few examples as well. We build slowly and stably, which again, it shows the stability that we've got, and we become that sort of safety net club. And there's something positive to say about that. We go about our business quietly, we go about it shrewdly, and most importantly, we create a culture which people want to work and be part of.
Yeah, and we're quite stable, aren't we, as a club? The manager's been there a long time. It's a good club. Everybody gets paid on time. There's a lot of stability there. I think it's more of a quality level now. And if you look at our team in particular, you go from back to front. The goalkeeper's all right. The defensive department's all right. I think midfield's basically all right, or perhaps a holding midfielder. It's up front. It's up front where we're struggling. We waste so many chances, and you're talking one good window, and we could be right up there. We're not far off. And if that means writing 1 or 2 checks, it could really make the difference. I take you're right in what you say about not overstretching yourself and improving facilities and longevity, etc. But you look at where we are football-wise at the moment. It's 1, 2, 3, the right real players, and it could really make a massive difference. You know, somebody could put the ball in the net, and I mean, look how much of that. If we'd have had Gregory this season, where would we be? You know, it's all relative, isn't it? And we're doing a lot of things right. It's just certain things, certain pieces of the jigsaw that need addressing. One good window for me.
Yeah, that's I think we've seen it in the past, and we know that Nigel Clough can do it. So, but the only people that know that what's going to happen is, of course, Nigel and the Radfords as well. Right, we're going to take a short break in a minute. Before we do, appreciate all your comments tonight. Keep them coming in, and have your say on your team. Really want to hear from you this evening. Keep your comments coming in. Want to get your views on the fan advisory board. We're going to be talking about that after the break, and it's not always on the pitch stuff that we talk about here, so we'll talk about that after the break as well. But I do want to add, whilst I appreciate all your comments, there is one comment that has come in tonight. I'm not going to read it out what it is. Mark's left it in the comment. It was one of his first comments when we were talking about where the money's going to go. Comments like that are not acceptable. If you watched last week's show or listened to last week's show, you will understand why. Don't mind a bit of banter, a little bit of joking, but comments like that are not acceptable, and there's no place for them here on this podcast. Right, have your say on your team. Keep your comments coming in. We're going to talk fan advisory board after we've cashed in on the ads.
Protect what matters most with Actifire Limited.
Your trusted local fire safety experts in Nottinghamshire. Proud sponsors of the Mansfield Matters Podcast. From fire extinguishers and alarms to emergency lighting, pat testing and risk assessments, they've got everything you need for your business to stay safe. Affordable, reliable, professional. Because when it comes to fire protection, there's no room for compromise. Call Actifire Limited today or visit actifire.co.uk. Be ready, be safe, act now. Actifire Limited, proud sponsors of the Mansfield Matters Podcast.
We're the Mansfield Matters crew, making podcasts just for you. Some show up, some disappear, but the Stags bring us all here. Through the ups and downs we stay, talking Mansfield Town every day.
With the show for the fans, by the fans. Why? Because Mansfield always matters. Marcus said sorry in the comments, and I accept your apology, and we'll move right on. During that ad break, Alan Wilson, I think, lent on his phone and tried to FaceTime video call me. Do you know what?
Yeah.
There they are.
I didn't know whether it would work, with how you do associate with Jim. on the podcast. I didn't know whether it would work that way.
No, you have to click the link on your phone browser to do
Oh,
that.
right.
But you know what? It's an educational show. We're learning. We're teaching Alan Wilson all about technology whilst we're live. So there you go. It's an interesting one. Right, let's move swiftly on, shall we? We're going to talk fan advisory board in just a couple of minutes' time. But before we do, Jim, we have to say a very happy birthday to a certain Mr. Clough, don't we?
Yeah. Happy birthday, Gaffer.
Is that it? I thought you were going to go on a massive spiel about
45 today. Yeah. I don't know what I would say. I ain't got my cake or anything. But, I think he's got other things on his mind.
Nobby Welsh had a birthday this week as well.
Oh, there you go then. There you go. So little Nobby Welsh had a birthday. Nigel Clough's birthday today. Go on, Clive.
But birthdays aside, I think it's worth noting that Clough's done 300 games for the Stags.
Yes.
And that's an incredible achievement when you think about it, with the turnover and churn of managers at lower league level. And he hasn't finished yet. And I would imagine he'll probably beat Ian Greaves' figure by the time he does hang his tracksuit up.
Well, I think if he stays to the end of next season, Alan, he will beat that, won't he? Because I think Greaves was, 338?
I thought it was 329, but I could be mistaken.
Yeah, it's a little bit. I think
338.
I think
Craig's going to do it, isn't he?
He should do.
Yeah,
he should. And to be fair, Alan, what a 300 games it's been. It's got in the absolute blink of an eye, hasn't it? And do you know what? He definitely goes down for me as the best Mansfield manager in modern times. Paul Cox will always hold a special place in my heart and should hold a special place in every Stags fan's heart because of, he dragged us out of the conference. It was a really hard task to do that. But what Nigel Clough's done for the club is similar to what he did at Barnsley. He's transformed us, really. He's put us on a footing that, 15 years ago, I think it was 15 years ago today, that we beat Luton in the FA Trophy semi-final to get to Wembley. We wouldn't have dreamed of being a League One club back then, would we, Al?
No, I wouldn't have thought so. But I mean, we have had some really good managers. You say Ian Greaves, we've had Dave Smith, we've had quite a few. Billy Dearden was a decent manager for us. So, like you said, 300 games is an unbelievable stat. And I can remember when he first came in the COVID season, there weren't many of us there. I was lucky enough to still do the PA, and the substitutes used to sit just below my box. And I can remember Nigel being then. And, he's come on leaps and bounds, hasn't he? Together with the club. And a very happy birthday to you, Nigel.
Yeah, absolutely, because we know he listens to this podcast, but just on the odd chance that he does, there you go, and he keeps people sticking around as well. Right, let's talk fan advisory board then. Want you to hear your comments on this at home, so please get your thoughts in the live feed comments and have your say on your team. If you don't know about this is what the club posted on their official website 6 days ago. Stags are welcoming applications for the new Mansfield Town Fan Advisory Board. Starting from the beginning of the 2026-27 season, the Mansfield Town Fan Advisory Board will be a consultative group of supporters who meet approximately 4 times per season. The FAB will be, not to be confused with the ice cream, will further strengthen the relationship between the club and its supporters to ensure the club maintains a model of transparent and sustainable governance. The club will consult with fan representatives on a wide range of strategic topics, whilst constantly striving to improve the supporter experience for all. The recruitment process will include an application form and interviewed by a panel consisting of the club supporters liaison officer and EFL network managers at the Football Supporters Association. The closing date for applications is 5 o'clock on Monday, the 23rd of March. So not a lot of time left if you want to get involved with that, but you can do so. Mansfield Town Football Club is encouraging supporters over the age of 18 and from all backgrounds to apply for the positions on the Mansfield Town Fan Advisory Board. Stage 1 is the application phase. All Mansfield Town supporters over the age of 18 are eligible, regardless of any supporter group affiliation. There's a link to an online application form where you provide your details, MTFC number if applicable, and any relevant experiences that you think may help you and the rest of the board. Stage 2 will be the selection process. All applicants will be reviewed independently by the application and interview panel. The FSA representatives involved have no affiliation with Mansfield Town or its board of directors. Candidates will be shortlisted based on their ability to represent the fan base, commitment to the club, and relevant experience. And shortlisted candidates will be invited to an interview, and if successful, be asked to provide information for public profile for election by the wider fan base. And then stage 3 is the fan vote. All season ticket holders will be eligible to vote. Shortlisted candidate profiles and voting instructions will be provided on the website with secure online voting. The club anticipates this to be in place for next season. I know there's going to be different viewpoints on this. Clive, your viewpoints on it, please.
Essentially, it's not a bad thing to have better liaison between fans and football clubs. And I've got to, at this point, avoid being sceptical about the reasons for it. I think it's a positive thing. And I think providing it's done properly, and then once the fan advisory board has been put together, that there's a degree of respect between the club's owners and management and that group. So it works well. If it's a grudging thing, then there's no point in doing it. If it's a box ticking exercise, there's no point in doing it. And that's the fear I know Jim fears it's a bit of a box ticking exercise, but I think it's an opportunity that shouldn't be wasted. So, my view is it's a lot of work to get there for no reward if it doesn't do anything positive at the end of it, because you've got an application form, then there's going to have to be vetted, then there's going to have to be an interview, and then it's going to have to go to a fan vote. So by the time you got there, it's going to be one of the most rigorous job interviews that you could possibly have for zero pay. But all I want to finish on saying is...
Exactly. Alan, for your benefit, Clive held up a piece of paper saying vote for me on it, which means that Clive has submitted an application to part of the FAB.
I've done the first bit.
Jim, what's your viewpoint on it? I know we had a brief conversation about it, didn't we, before the Barnsley game? I can see why the wry smile on your face, that there could be a potential Jim rant about to happen here. So here we go.
Well, I am a bit sceptical. I think it is a bit of a box ticking thing. And I think that even though they might sort of go through the motions pretending to listen, I think the most you're going to sort of get listened to is about, where should we put the bin in the fan zone and stuff like that. I think anything more than that, they're not interested in what we think. And probably quite rightly so, because by the definition of a fan, if fanatical, we're not very stable, and the lunatics shouldn't run the asylum, should we? So ultimately, I don't think they really give two F's what we think, and they probably shouldn't either. There you go.
You see, that's where I disagree, because I think we are a family club, we are a fan-first club, and I do think that we've progressed as a fan club over the last few years. I would agree that in previous seasons and previous years the fans haven't been listened to, but the culture that we're trying to create here at Mansfield Town Football Club is very much about having our voices heard. And I understand and appreciate why some, including yourself, will see it as a box ticking exercise, and that you're saying that you won't be listened to or won't be heard. But isn't that the point of it in the first place, though, Alan, to give fans a platform to be heard? Yes, we've got a fan liaison officer, Vicky, and sometimes that goes a little bit quiet, and maybe we should make a more conscious effort as a fan-led podcast to get her on the podcast and try and bridge those gaps a little bit. But is that not the point of the FAB, though, Alan, to make those voices heard? And it's up to those who are elected to it to shout loudest.
I think it's an incredibly, really good idea, personally. But I mean, that's only my opinion. I think they used to have, like one fan on the board originally, as in the committee, they used to have one fan, and I can't remember who it was. But I think it's a really good idea. And at the end of the day, if there's only one article or, somebody comes up with an idea, and that gets presented to the club and it goes forward and it makes a positive experience, it's worthwhile doing. And, if Clive's gone for it, or whoever goes for it, they'll certainly get my votes because, like I said, I think it's a good thing.
Well, it's at this point that I must also admit that I have submitted an application for it. We had a chat about it in the group chat, didn't we? And my vote was still for Jim to go for it. I think he would absolutely storm it, and I think he would change his opinion on everything. It's not up for it, though, are you, Jim?
I would just say I think some people in the fan base could contribute and do a decent job. I just think people write to the club all the time. They know what people think. They don't need this thing to know. They know exactly what fans think. I think it is just a gesture to make it look like they're listening, but ultimately they know what people think. And I just don't think it will change anything in reality. The little small token things, but nothing sizable. I don't think would change. They know what they've got their ear to the ground anyway. They get people write to them all the time. I know they do. So I don't know. It's up to you. If people want to go for it, go for it. But I haven't got a lot of faith in the idea personally. But it is, it's each of their own.
Are you saying, Jim, that you've written a letter to Mr. and Mrs. Bradford asking them to give you a padded seat and you've not been listened to? Is that where we're going with this?
I've not written any letters, but I know plenty of people do.
I think you've hit on the point, though, Jim. When individuals approach a large organisation, let's assume Mansfield Town Football Club is, by comparison, a large organisation, then it's one voice. And it can be ignored. It can be sidelined. It can be considered and not acted upon. If you've got an advisory group, which then represents the whole of the fan base because of the way it's been elected into place, they have a degree of power and authority. They don't have any. It won't, the way I understand it, it's not going to be a board position at the end of this. It's simply going to be an advisory board. And therefore, what is the point in them indulging in an advisory board if then they're going to wholesale ignore the advice coming from it? Because all that will happen then, it will engender huge amounts of negativity.
But do you think they've thought
what
this
could
through?
be a positive thing spins very quickly into a negative thing. Whereas if they upset you, they upset one person. If they upset the advisory board that's behaving properly and not radically, then they've made it. It's a big risk to take for a club that I think does genuinely see value in fans.
Yeah, I think they see value in fans, but I think you're naive to think that board would have any power whatsoever.
Don't have any power.
What are you expecting them to have power over, though, Jim? I think that's the point. I think that's the parameters. What do you see the fan advisory board being able to do? Are you expecting them to have a say on who we sign, the footballing direction, or is it more?
No. Well, it could be. It's any issue to do with the club, isn't it? Clough saying one voice would be more powerful than lots of people writing in. I think ultimately, if you say something, someone comes up with an idea that they like, whether it's one person writing in or the fan advisory board, they'll go, oh. But ultimately, they'll make the decision. I think ultimately that board will have, when it comes to the decision, will have no power whatsoever. And I haven't got belief it's been thought through as to say, oh, could this go toxic and negative? I don't think that's been thought through one bit.
But I think it has. We don't do things like this on a whim. There's a massive communications backlash on that. This has been thought out. I would agree with you if they'd have just put the interview would be the first selection will be judged by two of the board members or whoever. The fact that we're bringing in externals and doing this through an independent network suggests that these conversations have gone on for a while, and they're looking at the importance of doing this. Yeah, it's not about being able to influence decisions. It's about creating a platform to make fans' voices heard. And as much as I would like to argue and say that this is a platform that makes fans' voices heard, it's not. This is just a platform for us to talk about football and have a bit of a laugh. It's a communication tool, but it's never going to have any power on there. Whereas a fan advisory board, the issues that we discuss around, whether or not they should charge 50 quid for a posh breakfast cob and a beer for a big FA Cup match, things like that, they're the sort of things that the fan advisory board will be able to advise on. The key is in the word advise.
That's the clue. That there's no power, there's no authority. What the best that you can expect from an advisory board or a collective representing the fan base is a degree of influence.
I don't see it. I don't think it would be.
Well, that's because you're taking you've got a view based on a fairly cynical approach, and I respect that. It's
reality. It's reality. Well, I don't think they're not going to let us.
It's your reality. My reality says, why go to all this trouble if you're not going to make the best use of it?
Because it looks good. It looks gimmicky and good.
Well, let's hope you're wrong, because I've put my name in this. I've got better things to do with the remaining 2 years of my life, I'm sure. But I actually believe in representation. I mean, without getting too political, I think people need to be represented. At the moment, who represents the fans? We're not quite sure. There is a bit of I think through the SSA, there's been some linkage there. But let's remember, the SSA, for all the things it does ever so well, it only represents a few hundred fans. And we now have a fan base of 7,000 to 8,000 people that need to have a conduit to the club where they don't feel jeopardised or exposed by their lack of communication skills, if you like. And not only that, the fan advisory group, if I'm thinking about it right, will take some of the daft suggestions that come in and filter them down and make them into a palatable and feasible suggestion. So if somebody wants, I don't know, something that's unpractical, like you want 30 different craft beers in the kiosks, then that's fine. You want that. But the reality is you can't have that. Let's go to the club and see what can be done to improve that offering. And I think my view of the world is this is all about fan experience.
Yeah, and that is what we are. We're a fan-first club, and it's about creating the best environment for existing fans and for new fans to come in. Because if we're talking about what we were earlier in the show about trying to progress on the pitch and go higher up to higher divisions, that infrastructure has to be in place, but that has to come with a fan voice. We'll move on from that and we'll do podcast predictions results in just a minute. But just to finish it off, obviously, like Clive has said, Clive has gone for a position on the fan advisory board. I have as well. And the reason for it is I feel two things. The first, and this is not a dig at anyone at all, by the way, like Clive mentioned earlier, the SSA used to have, or still do have, a small say in whatever, be that advisory, be that feeding back to meetings. But at the time when they were doing that, they were pretty much the only established travel group or fan group that were about at that particular time. We have grown since then, and now the SSA is on a split level with all the other groups out there. And to be honest, I don't think has that representation as much as it does. I'm not saying that we as a podcast do, and this is my second point, but people do listen to us. People do watch us. People do come up to and talk to us and talk about the podcast that we've never met before or only seen their faces. And as a fan platform, I feel it's important that we have some form of representation on that board. I'm not bothered about it being me. I'm not bothered about it being Clive. I'm bothered about it being someone from us. If we can get a seat on that board, it's great. And even if we don't, I would still encourage those who do get on the board to come and work with us, because we are a communications platform which is not associated with the club. We can say whatever we want because we're supporters and we can help with that fun. And that's the reason I feel it's important for us to have that little bit of a say and a little bit of a voice. Continue to get your comments coming in. Let us know your thoughts on all of that. We might pick it up another week and we'll see what happens with all of that process. But in time old fashion, we've got to move on because we've got to do this.
The game of luck, who gives up, don't mess it up. I hear you say, how do you play? Win, lose or draw, then pick a score and one more thing. Pick a hero, don't score zero, that's the game. But we're not fools, this game has rules. It gets on time, you'll be fine, remember the rhyme. Best predictions. Best predictions. Remember the rhyme. Guess on time, you'll be fine. Remember the rhyme. Best predictions.
Let's start off then with the results from the last two games. Let's go all the way back to the Barnsley game then, shall we? And two people predicted a 2-2 draw and scored 18 points each. One of them was Simon Wilson. The other was Jim. Well done, Jim. You got some points on the board for the Barnsley game. And the best pick of those players from the Barnsley game was indeed Stephen McLaughlin, who would have got you 9 points. On to Tuesday night, the 9 people predicted a 1-1 draw, but the 3 winners, who scored 18 points apiece, are Ben Swain, the podcast predictions guru, Matt Piercy, and me. However, 6 people got minus points on Tuesday night because of their team selection. Of course, no Lewis Reed. I think Alan fell victim to one of the points. I can't remember. I think Clive, you did as well. I can't remember who your pick was for Bradford. And I think you went with you went for Fraser Blake Tracy. Didn't play, didn't you? So
yeah.
yes.
I went
That's
with
why I don't
Albert.
like.
Yeah.
That's
2
why I don't
minutes.
like this competition. There's too much emphasis on the player rather than the result. But there you go. That's a personal opinion.
Take it to the fan advisory board. In the current table as it stands, and in 5th place is Clive on 335. I'm in 4th on 348. Limbo 74 in 3rd on 352. Matt Piercy stays in 2nd with 353, and leading the way at the top, Chris Vincent with 394. A reminder, if you want to play along with podcast predictions, the link that you need is in the description. And Alan, we're going to turn our attention now then to Northampton at home on Saturday.
3-1 win, and the player that doesn't cause 0, Dave.
Clive. It's an audio medium, Clive. Come on.
It's Stags 2, Cobblers 0, Little Nobby Welsh.
Thank you. Jim.
I think Northampton are about as effective as that fan advisory board is going to be. So I would say Stags 2, Northampton 1, John Russell.
I'm going to go for Stags 3, Northampton 0, and I'm going to go for Rhys Oates as my player to make sure I don't score 0. The link that you need is in the description. And a reminder that you must submit your guesses no later than 90 minutes before kickoff on your selected game. And you can't pick the same player 2 games in a row. Right, we've had a little bit of a lively debate tonight. So let's finish it off then, shall we? With a little bit of a smile and a little bit of fun.
Alan, where's you been? Alan, where's you been? Alan, where is your babe? Alan, where's you been? Alan, where's you been? Alan, where is your babe? Alan, where's you been? Alan, where's you been? Alan, where is your babe? Alan, where's you been? Alan, where's you been? Alan, where is your babe?
Yes, it's time for Alan, where's you been? Our Alan Wilson, who is on the phone tonight due to technical problems, has been out and about all week. He's taken his metaphorical bin to a football club across the UK, and all we have to do is find out who that football club is. He's going to give us 5 statements. If we get it right, if we get the right guess after the first statement, it's 5 points, then 4, then 3, and so on and so on. Currently, the points look like this. I am in front on 12 points. Clive is just behind on 10. Nick's got 4. Jim's got 2. Cam and Nathan yet to score. So, Alan Wilson, it's over to you.
Question 1, gentlemen
Oh, hang on.
and ladies.
Are we? What are we looking for this week, Alan?
We're looking for a football team.
Football team. Excellent.
Right, question 1 to all the listeners.
Muir.
The capacity of this ground where I've been is 12,021. That's question 1. 12,021. Your guesses, please, gentlemen.
Who do you want first, and not me, please?
Well, we'll have Jim, Clive, Craig.
Thank you.
6 Fields.
I presume that's Northampton.
It is.
No. Sorry, no. Go on, carry on. Clive,
Walsall.
Craig,
Lincoln City.
incorrect. Question 2. From the year 2000, they have had 6 promotions in the English League. From the year 2000, they've had 6 promotions in the English League up to date, up to the 2026 season. Jim?
Port Vale.
Clive?
Stockport County.
Craig?
Huddersfield Town.
Incorrect. Now, the third one is the anagram. Now, when I've done it, do you still want the 2 minutes, Craig?
Yes, please.
Right. So after this, after I've mentioned the anagram, we're going to have a 2 minute while we wait for the, so you can have your opinions, and we've got a 2 minutes on the clock with Craig. Now, the anagram is called I, the Tram Hounder, spelt I, then it's the, T-H-E, Tram, T-R-A-M, and Hounder, H-O-U-N-D-E-R. If you want to put your clock on, Craig, you can have 2 minutes to think about it.
Protect what matters most with Actifier Limited, your trusted local fire safety experts in Nottinghamshire. Proud sponsors of the Mansfield Matters podcast. From fire extinguishers and alarms to emergency lighting, pat testing and risk assessments, they've got everything you need for your business to stay safe. Affordable, reliable, professional. Because when it comes to fire protection, there's no room for compromise. Call Actifier Limited today or visit actifier.co.uk. Be ready, be safe, act now. Actifier Limited, proud sponsors of the Mansfield Matters podcast.
We're the Mansfield Matters crew, making podcasts just for you. Some show up, some disappear, but the Stags bring us all here. Through the ups and downs we stay, talking Mansfield Town every day.
Right, you've had your 2 minutes, gentlemen.
Hang on now, we're just showing a minute's timer.
Oh, sorry. Right, if that's your 2 minutes, remember, Jim, when I ask you, it's the football team you're after from the Tram Hounder. What is your guess?
It's not Rotherham, is it?
Clive?
Not a clue.
Craig?
I'm going to go for Tranmere Rovers, but I know I'm wrong.
Well, there's no V in there for a
The
start.
answer... the answer was right with Jim. It is Rotherham United.
There we go. Love it. So, Jim, you get 2 points on the board. Well done, Jim. Excellent point. Excellent work. What were the final 2 3 points, sorry. What were the last 2 clues, Alan?
The 4th clue was Steve Evans was a former manager. And the 5th clue, the nickname is The Millers.
You see, I definitely would have got it on 2. And I knew Tranmere was wrong, but I couldn't see Rotherham. But I went, yeah. Or I could see Tranmere, but not, yeah. Anyway.
It took me ages to sort the anagram out because sometimes you can go on like a Google that does it for you, but they don't do one for Rotherham United.
I'm not very good at these, Alan. Sorry. The nearest I got to was Thunder Tart.
Which Which division do they play in, Clive?
It's very windy.
Oh dear.
But well done, Jim.
Yes,
Thank
well
you.
done, Jim. Excellent.
Yes,
work.
well
That
done,
was-
Jim. You can go back to your birthday celebrations now.
That was it. That was another excellent edition of Right then, let's wrap things up then. Obviously, Northampton Town at home on Saturday. For me, Clive, I think this is a very big game. I know we mentioned earlier about the break coming up after it. I think that does give us a little bit of license to throw a little bit more at it. I think if we can get 3 points on the board, that'll put us, a decent amount of points then ahead of Northampton. They've got 35 points on the board at the minute, so we're well ahead of them anyway. I know we're only 5 points behind Blackpool. It is quite tight down there as well, but a win over Northampton gives us a bit of a springboard to go into a busy April month, and a little bit of confidence as well, and almost puts the nail in the coffin of another team.
I think you're right. And for reasons I mentioned earlier, I think we need to go into the international break with something in our pocket. And that will give us that psychological momentum to pick up the next game when we play Doncaster.
We're in a bit of good form at the minute. I know, we're not winning as many games as we'd like, Jim, but we are unbeaten in 5 league games. We've lost 1 game in the last 6 in all competitions, and that was a narrow defeat against Premier League leaders Arsenal. So we're doing something right.
Yeah, I think we're defending well, aren't we? I'd agree with Clive. We need to go into the break with at least a point on Saturday, which you'd be disappointed if we don't win it, but certainly don't lose it. It's all in the head now, isn't it? This time of the season, and we don't want 2 weeks off the back of a defeat and 2 points above the relegation zone. We don't want that. So throw the kitchen sink at Saturday and get some boost the feel good factor. Not that it's lacking, but I say it's all in the head.
It certainly is indeed. Alan, I'm going to come to you for final words. Your thoughts ahead of Saturday, please, and the big running that we've got coming up in April. Oh,
On Saturday.
Sorry, Alan was talking there and I had him faded down. I'm so sorry, Alan. Please restart.
I'd say all guns blazing. Let's get that early goal. Let's get the momentum going, and let's give it a really good go Saturday. Because they've got 13 days rest after that. If we need to, play Sweens if he's okay, put him in. Let's get as many points as we can. 3, hopefully. We'll have to settle for a point as long as we don't lose. And let's put a new soul on the cobblers.
Oh, Alan Wilson, always coming in with the big hitters at the end. That's all we've got time for tonight. Happy birthday, Mr. Clough. And remember to vote Clive and Craig. Can we add that at the bottom, or we're just going for vote Clive? Yeah, oh no, the thumbs are up. For an audio podcast, he's very visual tonight. Yes, sadly, that's all we've got time for this week on the Mansfield Matters Podcast. My thanks, as ever, to the Mansfield Matters Podcast panel, and of course to you guys at home for watching and for listening. Next up then, Northampton Town at home on Saturday. A reminder, if you want to play along with podcast predictions, you can do so via the link in the description. And also a reminder that you can't pick the same player twice, and you must submit your guesses no later than 90 minutes before kick-off. There's no game in midweek, so we'll likely be back with you on Tuesday or Wednesday, because on Thursday I'm off to see some comedy, so it won't be next Thursday. Moan at me if you want, whatever. As always, you can find out when we're going to be live by following us on all things social media at MCFC Matters. This is the show for the fans, by the fans. This is the Mansfield Matters Podcast, and we will see you next week. Protect what matters most with Actifire Limited, your trusted local fire safety experts in Nottinghamshire. Proud sponsors of the Mansfield Matters podcast. From fire extinguishers and alarms to emergency lighting, pat testing and risk assessments, they've got everything you need for your business to stay safe. Affordable, reliable, professional. Because when it comes to fire protection, there's no room for compromise. Call Actifire Limited today or visit actifire.co.uk. Be ready, be safe, act now. Actifire Limited, proud sponsors of the Mansfield Matters podcast.